talk tonight a little bit about some of the more detrimental emotions that men and women utilize against each other that can be very, very damaging within a relationship. So for men, one of the most toxic emotions that really, really damage a woman's confidence in her man is anger. Men have this rage inside them that makes sense, from I guess a primal aspect, because they needed to be able to fight. They needed to be able to have this powerful energy to be able to attack a saber-toothed tiger, I suppose. But when we're talking about the modern era and we're talking about the stressors of daily life, when you're coming home and you're angry and you're in a rage, and you are, whether it's being short or if you're actually yelling and really scaring the woman you're with, what it does is it creates a huge barrier and a fear trigger within the woman that you are, cohabitating with, and essentially that breaks down her trust in you. So the more that you have outbursts of anger and you don't show that you're a stable man, a steady, stable, protective man, because you're supposed to be protecting the woman that you're with, if she is getting the brunt of your anger, or if you are raging at home and not, doing that in the car when she's not there, or taking that out in the parking lot at work, when you're taking out your anger on her, you're damaging the way that she sees you. She can no longer see you as her king or her prince. She starts to see you as this beast or this thing to be afraid of. So it's so important that men refrain from being angry to that degree around their women. They can be frustrated. They can have a dialogue that is a reasonable dialogue, and they can express their feelings about why they're feeling frustrated, but they should never engage in all-out rage when they're around their women. And if the rage is specifically directed towards the woman, so if it's very, cutting them down or abusive or, physical abuse, again, a woman's not going to be able to love a man that treats her that way. So it's so important that men understand this aspect, okay? For women, the other kind of side of the emotional spectrum that's difficult in relationships is when women are too emotional. So if we're crying all the time, or really being overly dramatic in a way that we're not calm, we're not calming ourselves down, that erratic behavior is very difficult for men to process, and it becomes something that really causes the man to push the woman away, because again, he doesn't feel that she is a stable unit, and it is still an equally chaotic energy to be dealing with if you're dealing with massive amounts of sad energy or that, hysterics. Women can be known for hysterics. Guys can be as well. I mean, I'm not saying that men cannot get hysterical, but any kind of these really loud emotions that really just drain you emotionally, as you grow with your relationship and as you age, these things should diminish. You should not be dealing with these type of crazy emotions all the time. That creates a really unbalanced household, yelling, screaming, fighting. You should be able to do all of the same organization within a relationship in a very calm and peaceful way. So if you are having trouble in your relationship, you might want to look at your communication styles and how you're actually interacting with one another, because the more calm and peaceful you are, the more your partner is going to be able to feel love for you and will be able to express love for you. Because again, where you're at with your partner has to feel safe. If either partner doesn't feel safe in the relationship, they're not going to be able to open their heart up to love, to sharing love with the other. And another thing that is really, really important is the aspect of blame and guilt. Again, when we are dealing with communication in a relationship, it's so important to have an infrastructure almost pre-created that will help us navigate different situations. If we have these things in place before, fights break out or something like that, and we really focus on having peaceful communication, what happens is we don't fall into that state where we become bitter of the other person, or we're kind of sitting in anger or hatred where we just don't like them. I mean, we never want to get to a stage within a relationship where we sit back and we think, I don't really like you very much. Even if it's your inside voice, that should never be a feeling you feel towards your spouse. And the way that you can actually not fall into that trap is by really setting great standards for open communication. And this is where, again, you very gently explain your side of the story, why something hurt you, why you felt uncomfortable, and listen and allow the person to give their explanation. And when you do this in this very gentle way, you actually build trust. And when communication and dialogue happens in a way that is very proactive like this, it actually builds the bond between two people and makes them feel very grounded and very safe, because then you realize no matter what storm you're going to weather, you're going to do it as a team, and it's going to be a collective, peaceful communication that results in both parties having a greater understanding and really a greater respect and love for the other's opinion. So again, really thinking about the emotions that we can start to move away from in terms of our communication with a significant other. For guys, women too, there are some women that can be very angry, but predominantly anger is a male trigger. But if it's a woman that has a really bit of a mean streak in her, then she's got to pay attention to that anger button as well, and make sure that she takes steps to find and come from a place that is not an erratic place. And hysterics, when people are emotionally triggered, trying to fall back into peaceful communication where you're not in hysterics, you're not yelling, you're not blaming, you're not projecting guilt on the other party. You really have to get to a point where you can sit down with them as a friend and just talk things out, because there's nothing you can't talk out. And when you really take the time to see both sides of the spectrum, it's actually not as terrible often as what you thought, okay? And if it is something that is monumental, like say one party cheated on the other party, even if you can communicate through that in a calm, peaceful communications, then you can walk out from whatever the other side of that situation is with a certain amount of respect and not walking out being a bitter person. So it's all about communication. It's all about taking yourself to that next level of maturity and really starting to become the best version of yourself you can be in any interaction, and especially in a spousal relationship, because it can be just two people, but it can also affect families as well. And that's how, little by little, in all of these little things that we do, we raise the vibration of society. We take society to that upper echelon of existence that doesn't have to be so chaotic, doesn't have to be so drama-filled, and we can really start to, again, adopt some of those old-fashioned values again, because I think that there's something to that. There's something it does have roots that are worth putting down in terms of your own mental health and your family situation, your home life. So hopefully some of this was interesting to you, a little bit of Monday night dialogue from my little library here.